On this video, I'm going to find out, can you run a 37-inch tall tire under the Ram TRX without modifying the suspension? Before I jump into the 37, I do need to give you a few details on the wheels that I am running because they are a very important part of the equation. This is an 18x9 Method 323 in gloss bronze, and it has a 12mm positive offset and 5.44 inches of backspacing. The stock beadlock capable wheels that came on this truck were also an 18x9 and had a positive 19mm offset. By dropping 7mm of offset, my aftermarket wheels push away from the vehicle by approximately 1/4 inch. Now the tire that I am moving up from is a 35x1250 Nitto Trail Grappler, and what I am moving to is a 37x1250 Recon Grappler AT. I ordered my tires and had them installed at my local off-road shop, Low Range 4x4 here in Wilmington, North Carolina. And before we pulled the truck off the rack, we tested to see if the tires would clear up front, as we knew there was plenty of room out back. To my surprise and delight, they appeared to clear fine. To make sure it wasn't a fluke, I cycled the tires a few times with the truck on the ground to make sure it wouldn't grab any part of the inner fender. At ride height, I found I had plenty of clearance. Now, why go with the Recon Grappler AT? For starters, it's a tire that I'm familiar with and I know rolls smooth and quiet on the interstate. I like that it looks aggressive for an all-terrain tire with massive tread blocks, a great looking sidewall, and I know from experience that it works very well in the rain. I also wanted to be mindful of what type of weight I was adding to the truck. Moving from a 35 to a 37, I suspected I might be going up in rolling mass, but the Recon Grappler was actually 7 pounds lighter per tire than the Trail Grappler. It's also worth noting that the Method wheels are approximately 10 pounds lighter per wheel than the factory wheels. Using manufacturer supplied weight data, this equates to my new setup being approximately 1 pound heavier than the original tires mounted on the beadlock capable wheels. For those TRX owners with a 7-foot garage door, I can confirm that the truck will in fact clear the door with these 37s, but it is super close. While I quickly established that this tire and wheel package would clear fine on-road, I wanted to see if I could get the tires to rub off-road. For that, I hit the beach, as it's the closest area near me that I can actually use four-wheel drive. I truly was expecting to get some amount of rub, but no matter how much I powered through the cross ruts or cycled the suspension through the sand rollers, I could not get it to touch the inner fender. This is genuinely surprising to me because it looks like it should hit when the tire cycles up. Now, is this definitive proof that it'll never rub? Not necessarily, but it does mean for my needs, it works fine. One of the reasons that I wanted to go this route and not level the truck is that I've seen many reports of those with leveling kits having CV issues off-road. While I'll probably never push this truck to its full potential, I definitely do not want to do a mod that could hinder its performance or worse, make it unreliable. Now, as soon as I input the actual measured tire measurement and went over what is the factory default, which is 35.03, what it did is it turned off my parking sensors front and rear. Now, to be able to regain that function, there's another module that you will need to buy from Z Automotive to do that. So that's something they'll probably need to do later. I will say, in terms of how it changed the truck driving dynamics, the braking definitely feels worse. That's a big impact that I could notice almost immediately. The steering feels a little bit heavier, but not enough that I feel like it's obnoxious. Those are really the main negatives. The power on this truck, if I click it into sport mode, it doesn't really feel like it's that big of a difference. It still feels plenty powerful. I don't feel like, oh, I've just really sucked all the performance out of this by moving to a 37. So don't have a complaint there. Funny enough, the fuel economy on this truck has gone up almost by a mile per gallon with this tire and wheel, which isn't super surprising because it's a less aggressive tire. and it's lighter than what I actually had. Now the only time I can get better fuel economy with this truck, and that's noticeable, is when it's on the interstate and I'm going those like sustained speeds. For stop and go, this thing is still miserable, and I'm usually around 11 miles per gallon. But on the highway, I definitely have seen that that's better. So kudos, I went in the right direction there. Ride quality wise, I will say I like the 37 better than the 35 for sure, and that's talking about the factory and the trail grappler. This truck, I've always felt like didn't do a very good job of absorbing the small imperfections in the road with the factory suspension, and I feel like this 37 just is doing a better job at taking up a lot of that small imperfection stuff that, you know, I wish it did from the factory. So that's awesome. In terms of road noise, this tire is actually very quiet, and I know it's always hard to pick up audio to do that, and I think it's worth talking about, especially for the Ram, because I don't feel like the sound deadening in the Ram is all that great, especially on the interstate. Maybe part of it is because of the giant moonroof, but you know, we've taken multiple out of town trips with this truck, and to me it always sounds a bit louder than compared to like the Raptor. It just got a little bit more cabin noise, and these tires have definitely calmed that. So overall, you know, definitely a positive. I will mention the spare tire. So I was nervous that I wasn't going to be able to put a 37-inch tall spare in the back, and after measuring and really thinking about it, I cut bait and I said, you know what, I'm not going to put a 37-inch in the back, because I just didn't think it was going to fit without me doing a significant modification to squeeze it in there. I found a few people that made it work, but I just said, you know what, I'm just going to get a 35. And I know that might not sound like a smart, you know, move, but I think it's going to be fine. If I go out of town, I at least have a spare. I always carry a plug kit and an air compressor, so I'm not sweating it that much. I haven't had a flat tire in 10 years. Knock on wood, I won't have any to worry about. So that's what I did. I went with a 35-inch spare instead of going with a 37. I think it'll be fine if I need to swap one on here. With the Taser, you can put this thing into force rear-wheel drive, so I'm not worried about like the all-wheel drive or, you know, aspect freaking out. And if the ABS and traction control did get like really upset with it, because I do have the Taser, I can actually turn off all of those, you know, traction control nannies and drive this thing as far as I need to, you know, with one size tire being a little bit smaller, and just have the other one aired down. So I'm not really sweating that. I just figured it would be worth mentioning. Now for you RHO owners out there, this setup should work exactly the same. The wheel well on the RHO is essentially the exact same. The wheels on the RHO are the same as the TRX in that they have 19 millimeters of positive offset. So all of this is going to be applicable to that truck. I can't tell you if you can run a 1350 or not. All I can tell you is this 37 by 1250 Nitto Recon Grappler A with this wheel works perfectly fine without modifying the suspension. So I'm absolutely stoked on that. If you do have any questions, just drop them in the comments. If you want to see some stuff I'm working on behind the scenes, you can always check me out on all social media at Ollie Mansour Editor. I appreciate you guys watching these videos. If you did like it, don't forget to actually like it. It absolutely helps. And please consider subscribing to the Driving Line channel.